Welcome to Poetry Changes Lives, poetry and history and a thought for the day, all in my one book. As usual, here it is in paperback version. There's a hardcover version too, of course. I think they make very nice presents, as I've said before. But I really do believe that, people often these days find it difficult to think of a present to give a friend for their birthday or some sort of anniversary or a family member. But, a little book like this that they can dip into, get a poem each day, I think it's, always welcome. Very few people think, oh, I don't want that. poetrychangeslives.com is the website where you can find how to buy the book. You can read all sorts of articles about how it was written, and of course you can also buy it direct from Amazon if you have a mind to. So there we are, that's the book. Today I'm talking about the wonderful French fashion designer Christian Dior, who was born on this day in 1905. He therefore lived through two world wars, in both of which France was very much involved. Dior was born in the Normandy seaside town of Granville-sur-Mer, a little town, and as quite a young man, he went off to Paris to make his name and fortune, and boy, he succeeded there. He founded his wonderful fashion house after World War II, but of course during World War II he was working as a dress designer in Paris, being forced to design dresses for the wives of Nazi occupying forces, and like other French designers, he was kind of leading a double life. Dior's sister was a member of the Resistance, fighting against the Nazis undercover, the Maquis as they were known, and she was eventually caught and imprisoned and sent to Ravensbrück concentration camp, which must have been highly stressful for Christian Dior, working away in Paris for the Nazis, against his will, no doubt, but in knowing at the same time that his sister was imprisoned in a concentration camp. Very difficult times. We sometimes don't appreciate in this country, how lucky we were not to have been occupied during World War II. Well, after the war, Dior founded his fashion house and is famous mostly for the new look, as he called it, which was for after the war, where clothing had been rationed, material was in short supply, so women's dresses had very short skirts and little jackets, simply really to save on the cost of materials. But when the war ended and rationing ended, there were no such restrictions, so dresses became longer and fuller, pleated skirts. It was a very beautiful look, the new look. And the name Dior, of course, was synonymous with the best, the very best in women's fashion, and no self-respecting lady in France or England, for that matter, would not wish to be dressed by Dior. And of course it's still a very famous fashion name today. The name lives on. Dior died at quite an early age of 52 while on holiday in Italy, and the fashion house was taken over by his right-hand man, Yves Saint Laurent, who of course took it to greater heights, and Dior is still wonderful fashion today. I'm going to read a poem by 17th century Restoration poet Robert Herrick, who writes about, I think these few lines, a beautiful description of how a woman's dress, a silk dress, those long Restoration dresses, you can just imagine how a lady in a beautiful silk dress would move with these famous lines of Robert Herrick. Here we are. Whenas in silk my Julia goes, then methinks how sweetly flows the liquefaction of her clothes. Next, when I cast my eyes and see that brave vibration each way free, oh, how that glittering taketh me. Of course, that was another wonderful era for ladies' clothes. Some of those portraits of beautiful Restoration ladies at the court of Charles II particularly, really so beautiful. And Robert Herrick is a very fine poet. I'm just going to read a little one of his St. Distaff's Day, a day in January following the 12 days of Christmas, not that far removed from where we are today in January. It's describing the old tradition where men and women used to take the opportunity of playing tricks on each other on St. Distaff's Day, something we don't seem to do anymore, though we do it later on, of course, on April the 1st. Here we are. Partly work and partly play, ye must on St. Distaff's Day. From the plough soon free your team, then come home and fodder them. If the maids a spinning go, burn the flax and fire the tow. Scorch their plackets, but beware that ye singe no maiden hair. Bring in pails of water then, let the maids bewash the men. Give St. Distaff all the right, then bid Christmas sport good night. And next morrow every one to his own vocation. I think that's what we all think after Christmas. We'll let Christmas go until next year and get on with our normal way of life. Thanks for listening today.